Hi, welcome back to another video in the series of cheap, obscure guitars that don't suck. Question mark. Okay, this is probably not obscure. I don't think they're popular, but they certainly are cheap. Now, this is a Burswood guitar. It's obviously based on a Strat. I can't find out much about these guitars. I did a bit of research. They're kind of all over the net, but all it says is they're made in China for distribution across Europe and the US. That's it. Not much of a specification, is it? Anyway, let's get to it. And looking at it, it does seem to have quite a nice one-piece maple neck. Now, I get surprised at how good some cheap guitar necks are. Now, I've seen, even on the shittiest Encore, a really good neck. Now, don't have a go at me about knocking Encore, because I used to have an Encore and it had an ash body and it's a superb guitar, and I really regret selling it. But yeah, I've come across a few very, very cheap makes with good necks and really shit bodies. But yeah, a bit more about this one. I think it's been dropped at some point. It's got somebody's broken off the whammy bar in there. I'll see if I can get that out. But have a listen to this. Yeah, the tuners rattle. They're just like a baby's rattle. They're just crazy. So I'll see if we can sort that out. But the funniest thing about this guitar I've discovered is the action. Now, I've seen some even new guitars with some pretty appalling action setups on them. And I would normally like mine around a 1.25 mil, maybe 1.5 max. This one is a short bus ride from string to fretboard. Now take a look at this. I hope it comes out on the camera, you can see it. It's absolutely crazy. Looking at it, I think it's about 15 millimeters. Now, I've never seen an action like that on any guitar ever. Now, this belongs to a friend of mine. He's asked me to set it up for him. He didn't pay much for it. God knows how much. I think it's 30 or 40 quid or something. So I won't film that. I'm just going to set it up if I can. Hopefully I can. And then we'll, I don't know, put it for its paces, see what sort of tones we can get out of it. Because sometimes I find these cheap guitars are quite a surprise. Okay, let's get to it. Well, it's all restrung. Just before we actually demonstrate it, I just want to show you a couple of things. Firstly, these are all okay now. Just had to tighten all the screws up in the end of the tuners. And if I have a quick look here, I can show you, hopefully you can see that, how many turns there are now on the posts. Because I'm just going to show you a picture coming up now. Yeah, pretty appalling. That's how it was strung. It took me longer to get the knots out the end of the tuners than it did to actually string it. Now, I managed to get the action down from just over 15 millimeters, I measured that at, to it's just around the 2 mil now by shimming the neck out. Shouldn't really have to do that. I think what's happened is they'd over routed the socket that the neck sits in, and it's made the neck too low in the body, and it also had a nice little jaunty angle which raised the action even further. So it's not perfect. I think before I give it back to my friend, I'm going to put another little shim in. But yeah, there's probably a whole batch of these out there like that, which is a shame, because that's just impossible for especially a beginner to start playing on. It's just not fair to get people guitars you can't actually learn on. Anyway, that's that sorted. So now let's go and see what this thing actually sounds like. Well, there we have the old Burswood. And yeah, I've kind of got mixed feelings about it really, but then I've got to remind myself you can pick these things up for 30 or 40 quid second hand. I did find one on the net. They made a model some time ago that had actually inbuilt USB recording. Yeah, I've never come across that before, so they might be worth checking out. Now, this did need a lot of work, and I'm pretty certain you can go into a second-hand shop and pick one up that's actually quite playable straight off the mark. This one did need an awful lot of mucking about with. But yeah, it sounds okay, it plays okay. Surprisingly good neck still. Yeah, very, very smooth frets, nicely finished off. So you don't have to pay a fortune to get a playable guitar, not second hand anyway. Reservations on the pickups. It's got that kind of cheap Strat kind of vibe about it. The pickups generally are like that. I must admit I'm not a complete fan of single coils anyway. They do have their mark in music history, I know, and it just comes down to personal preference. I still wouldn't be without a Strat style guitar because there's certain things they play extremely well. I'm still a bit more of a humbucker fan, but that's just me. You know, what's right for one isn't right for another, so you know we just have to pay your main take a choice. Anyway, there we have it. I think that came across okay. More guitar reviews coming up, especially in the cheap range. I hope to get hold of some more expensive ones as well. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch up again soon. Bye now.